from level 1 with the volley is just too hard. But now seeing LWX on this, gonna give both sides of the 2v2 engage. So at level 6, there's gonna be a lot of possibilities for fun. Now, other things we already talked about, right? Still having that Azir left on the board. Tangyuan hasn't been able to find any wins with it. The Cassante being the other one we've highlighted that has been getting I've really just been surprised to see the amount of first pick Cassantes on blue side coming in this week, with the fact that we do still have Udyr as that other what seems like equal trade coming on through.
Yeah, the amount of times we've seen Udyr versus Cassante, now it's starting to feel like the tried and true top lane. I do wonder, though, especially with the side lane pressure that Udyr can bring. We were talking about some of the entrances, especially the flanks that are available for both these two teams. But I think this would solidify that we're not going to get much action until team differences come involved. And that's something we wanted to highlight in this as well, is what does the game impact have from these two top sides of the map?
I'm also just curious to see what IG end up going, what direction they end up going with this Ashe, right? I feel like typically you'd still expect to see the Ashe go in the support role, and we've seen things like the Caitlyn come out alongside it. I know we've seen Draven come out with it as well. So you still have those options there, but also just leaves RNG the possibility of banning these out. Maybe On gets his hands onto the Ashe. So I think that's actually a bit worse for IG, considering that, your support was just an AD carry player before. So if you can have your AD carry support playing an AD carry, that would just be comfortable for everybody.
Also, On, just a known Draven aficionado, would be really a treat to see his Draven once again. I do think that this is a great call, and I love that Tangyuan's going towards this. The Akali into the Azir matchup, it can be very good for the Akali if you get the right intro.
Yeah, going to be able to have this and put a lot of pressure on that Ashe on the backline as well with the Shroud. Also just kind of takes away, makes it harder to have another easy target for Cassante, right, as compared to if he would have gone for, say, an Orianna or a Corki or something not as mobile as having 200 dashes. You were talking about wanting to see the Xin Zhao earlier, Mazel, but your dreams have been dashed as a lot of focus on jungles going into the second phase.
Yeah, I think you have to. We talked about it earlier, no matter what is happening right now with the meta, the bot lane importance, jungle has been the dictator of early game pressure, and we have a lot of very aggressive early junglers. And I've been really loving to see how they pick apart the meta so far. But we'll get a little bit deeper into the pools of both these two guys as we go forward, because the Poppy, the Ezreal ban, as well as that Xin Zhao you've mentioned, we'll be finding this final ban for IG.
Yeah, so we still have things like Maokai that are up on the board, which I think just being the obvious standout with how much presence he's been showing. Rel, I think the other kind of standout option you'd be thinking about. But again, I'm keeping my eyes focused on that IG bot lane. Do we get to see the Draven coming out, or are they going to give us something, a little bit different, a little bit unexpected?
I would be curious. I mean, if this is the time to do it, it's the time to do it. I think the J4 makes that a little bit more complicated, but I actually really like this from Wei. It gives him that forward aggression, gives him that setup potential, but it also sticks to that kind of skirmish-heavy jungler that we know and love.
Yeah, and I'm right. So far, having in a mobile champion like Ashe on the opposite side, obviously Azir can deal with the Jarvan, but still going to be a heavy annoyance. Honestly,
I want him to do it so bad, man. I want to see his Draven. And
it's like you're saying, right? It doesn't make a lot of sense. You don't have any easy way to escape his combo, or especially once the ult comes through, you have to just dedicate a flash to going on forward. But I think not a whole lot of present good options that are going to make use of the fact of playing with that prio. That Ashe can cement you in the 2v2.
Would be a curious pick here. They are hovering over this for a long while, but you gotta also think there's still a counter pick support available on the other side, even though we've known the Ashe is here. The Kai'Sa does end up getting locked in. Not a duo we see typically here, at least in the Kai'Sa Ashe bot lane.
Yeah, now I'm curious about where RNG go, right? Because you still have things like the Senna up, and even with the support item kind of debacle happening, just having the solo support Senna can still work out. Or you can even go into a range. Oh, actually brings out the Leona. I was just gonna even speculate about other range supports you can bring out in this matchup, but it is Ming. Goes back to a good old reliable on the Leona. We'll see how it works out, right? Because he is going to get pummeled in terms of just the autos able to come through. So Wei and Tangyuan, just a lot of involvement from the rest of the map, I think, going to be needed to create a kill lane down in bot side for RNG.
if you just never stop going forward, you never know what happens, right?
Exactly.
You just keep going. Like, why not? Just commit to the bit here. And I honestly can appreciate that because once they get level 6, man, that bot lane is going to be deadly from the side of RNG. But that's where some pathing, I feel like, especially from Tianzhen, can maybe belay that a little bit. And I think this rel is going to be extremely important in IG weathering that storm.
Yeah, the rel, I mean, he's going to be able to do so much. Luckily, he will have some priors to play around, right? You're kind of looking at the mid lane where he's going to have a fine time. And bot, assuming he can prevent jungle intervention from the opposite side, their bot lane should be able to fare quite well in those early levels in the 2v2.
It's a time for teams to step up. It's a time to celebrate. It is the Spring Gala 2024 here in the LPL Spring Split. And it is the final series for both these two teams before they take a 2-week break. It's IG looking to go 4-1 and put themselves at the upper crust of the LPL, while RNG trying to solidify themselves to a 3-2 start and find some of that namesake they know and have lost. It's a battle of the interests between these two teams. It's a battle of the top sides of the map to see what the impact's going to look like. And it's game number 1 of our night. Let's hear those Jios ring in Shanghai. Got a lively crowd for the first series of the night here as well. Both series going to be in Shanghai tonight. Love to see the crowds out in force, but there's already some shenanigans going down. Got Breathe with the early ward. Yep. I feel like that's something we've seen a lot more of, Lyric, is confidence at the level 1 now.
Yeah, and I think it's also just teams kind of being more aware of playing out from that blue side and aggressively looking to control level 1 into red again. It's been pretty sad, especially seeing like when you have such a weak bot lane 2v2 of even having to hide behind your own minions. But RNG are reading this.
Uh-oh. This is going to be some trouble for Wink. Yeah, he immediately flashes the heal. Going to come out too. Breathe is running him down. And Ming, there's that go in no matter what style. And RNG going to give LWX first blood. Huge dub. And On has just taken a trip down to no man's land. He's just going to let Tianzhen go over there. The blast code not going to save him this time around. He'll cleanse anyways. Trying to get to the turret here, but Ming's got a stun and he's ready to go. Oh, Ming gets chunked by the turret, gets turreted back. It is 2 minutes in, and we are getting kills everywhere across the bot lane as Breathe is now going to try to run away from Tianzhen.
This is an absolute mess. Seems like it's just going to go down being a 2 for 2 in the end. But the difference, Mazel, is where the advantages have gone, right? I mean, hell, I guess Breathe did get one of the kills, so your top lane being set a bit behind, I don't think that makes up for the fact of all the CS he managed to lose out. But look what RNG have done in the bot lane. Already pushing this wave and an LWX being the benefactor to one of those kills.
Yeah, I mean, the 400 gold early pressure from bottom side. Now the question is, like, there's already only 2.5 minutes till objective spawn. So the thing about this new the meta now in the season is you have to be ready to go at minute 1, and I love that that's the approach that RNG took here.
Yeah, right. Especially just getting it on your bot side. Your Udyr should still be fine. There's going to be a whole lot of attention or like heavy trading presence up in that 1v1. So yeah, I definitely think RNG still getting the better end of it as we're even moving up towards the top side and seeing that Breathe. So going to have a fine time just zoning YSKM out in this top lane.
He's already got a 500 gold lead this early on, which just feels real good, man. And I do see now Tianzhen trying to make a move down bot side of the map. I think that's important to make sure that Wink and On actually feel confident down here.
Especially with the fact that, look at Ming. He's still only level 1. You're hitting level 3s now on the IG side of their bot lane. Love Tianzhen coming in here and just getting in Wei's phase to take away some of these camps. So IG doing a really nice job of trying to punish the earlier play that's caused RNG's bot lane to be so weak.
It's actually a really good bounce back, it feels like. And obviously, you were talking about Breeze's bounce back on top side as well. They will just be perfectly fine. He's right back to the Udyr stuff of potentially going to proxy a wave against YSKM. As it actually looks like we get a back completed there from Tianzhen on the bot side, so no more focus down there. And Wei was just around the corner just in case they answered.
Yeah, now Tianzhen going to come out with the bombies, right? So going to be able to get through some of those camps a bit quicker, have a little bit more meat behind him if any 2v2s or 3v3s break out. But I'm just keeping my eyes focused on the mini-map because of this, because of Wei and Ming going so aggressively to find this vision. And both jugglers are already back down here. It makes no sense.
Isn't it nice to see Wei and Ming reunited again? I don't know if they've got this one, though. It is a team flex just immediately. He already knows what was going wrong here. LWX is going to help clean up one, but now he's in a lot of hurt here. Ming's going to try to stop, though. The flash does end up coming out. Surprised he still had that after all this craziness early on. Ming's just getting run down. The approach velocity is working out so well for Wink, and he's using his ADC roots to do some serious damage. Now LWX, in a fight for his life, gets one back, and I cannot believe that LWX is now going to go down. He's sitting at 3-1, and a double kill goes over to Wink.
Great read by Tianzhen to be able to match there. Oh, his Cryin. Is he going to find a solo kill?
No, one more. The flash is not enough. Cryin trying to get a little bit of hurt onto the Tangyuan prodigy of RNG.
35 HP was what I saw him left at once we did scroll back over the Akali. So close. And it does feel like so far, IG have kind of been looking a little bit better despite the fact that kills have just been going pretty evenly across the board. But I feel like RNG kind of overcommitting to some instances in that bot side play.
I feel like I hate to bring it up every time I cast, I feel like, but it's like the whole gladiator meme. We're literally like 9 kills in 5.5 minutes. We've had literal action since 1.5 minutes, and now we're gonna take a look at RNG's overstep.
Yeah, just great read by Tianzhen to know that they're gonna look to come bot side again, get the flashes out early. They're able to run the first one down. LWX and Ming realizing we need to get at least one. But here's where I think they're in a bit of a tricky situation. Like, LWX realistically coming back here to try to like help Ming get out or find one of his own just ultimately means that IG are going to find more at the back end of the fight. Now, this Ashe has a blue buff. She's going to be spamming out those volleys all day, and it's going to be hell for RNG's duo lane.
Yeah, I mean, I expect now to see the junglers revisit down here anyway. Speaking of junglers, though, Tianzhen will scoop up all 3 of the early grubs. Now, me and Nymera were calling them the Telegrubbies, or the Grubby Tubbies. Do you have any special names, or are we, you know, I call them Grubbies a lot of the time.
You know, I actually just like calling them grubs, but the word grubs escaped my mind the other day, and I could just hear your voice saying grubbies. So that was just the first word that came out.
I like it. I'm glad. Subconscious helping me out there. But subconsciously, RNG got into the thick of things here and got the dragon. So I wonder now that we're going to actually see Wei pathing away from this bot lane. This is an opportunity for IG to make something happen down here. They're getting close, not close enough, but close to level 6 for Wing. They got the approach velocity here. I think he wanted to go.
Yeah, I wish we could see how much XP he needed, right? Because he has been the one who survived through most of the action in bot side. Picked up kills, been picking up XP.
They're going to go for it. The volley, the approach velocity is doing work. Magnet Storm, because Tianzhen was already level 6, and LWX is quick to fall on. Not even going to get close to going down, and Ming just has to flash away.
Just nice read from IG, knowing that LWX doesn't have that flash from the previous play down bot, so they pick up that one. You now have another kill for On, and this IG bot lane can get to a point where they're going to be pretty scary. I will say, luckily for RNG, that LWX has been the one picking up like all the kills that have really been happening for RNG, so the VARs still will get to a point of power pretty quickly, but again, I feel like IG are just playing around this prio so well.
Yeah, I mean, the issue is, like, we have a double ADC down bot lane that's both getting strong. Like, they both have shutdowns on them available as well, so I'd be very curious to see if RNG want to try to take advantage of that, because top lane, as we see, it's kind of a barren wasteland. Both guys just kind of having fun up there until that team impact comes into fold. And that's what I want to talk about, because we're looking ahead of time. That was our big focus here, is what kind of game impact can these top sides of the map have?
Yeah, so far we haven't seen too much. If you look at the minimap, Breathe is actually trying to lean over around mid, has gotten some of his own vision for himself too, so still trying to find the ways to where we know for YSKM, right, a lot more about playing that side lane, a lot more about the 1v1. I feel like one of the aspects where we've seen him grown is just in like team fight and team fight flanks that he's been finding on this Cassante pick. Hell, actually, surprisingly enough, he's undefeated on the champion. He's sitting at a beautiful 4-0 right now on the Cassante. So, you know, we're going to see later. Yeah, we're going to see later if he's able to deliver.
See if that streak remains undefeated. I just love that top lane is so amorphous that you could do this crazy early bot lane for Breathe and then come back top and you're perfectly fine. You're actually ahead of CS because the Udyr can just do that. We do see now YSKM going for it onto Breathe. He's trying to get ahead of him so he can make sure to get a couple more hits in, but it's just going to be the wet noodle fight that we all know and love up here on the top side that we've seen consistently.
Yeah, I was wondering if he'd commit to an all-in there, but decides not to. Just getting some nice damage down, I think realizing he'd be nowhere near low enough, even if he would have gotten him closer to his side of the lane. But now just waiting for, I guess, the next sets of grubs to come on the map and see if RNG can be able to pick those up. IG got the first set, but let's remember that RNG have been the ones who've really been maintaining that priority through top.
Actually, we see IG moving forward now. They've actually moved their bottom side up here to try to get a play if they can, because they do have level 6 for Wink now. So they have that long distance engage with the follow-up from Tianzhen. We'll actually see them collapse over bottom side of the map. They are spotted out, though. So at least the Enchanted Crystal Arrow will be seen. It's still something to always be worried about for RNG.
Yeah, I mean, that tool, it could just have such an impact, right? Making it so hard to find maybe some of the kills on sides that you'd want to later on. If you're Tangyuan on the Akali, right? The Enchanted Crystal Arrow could just come and shut you down. Setting up picks if LWX just ever walks too far forward. That's why Ashe is just such a crucial champ, even now on 14.2. But Ghostblade picked up for LWX, so at least going to be hitting that spike just a tad bit earlier than the IG bot lane.
It's so crazy to me to see. I know we're focused on the top side of the map, but man, to see LWX in an RNG jersey, let alone paired alongside Ming, obviously a FPX world champion, but now we'll see if Breathe and Wei can combo Dombo onto YSKM, and they do.
Yeah, just keeping it relatively easy, right? Throwing out the Jarvan ult. Now a ton of plates going to be picked up, and this is what we said. If you're watching RNG games, they do give some ganks up to top side. They're one of the only teams that really doesn't just ignore it and realize the state of the game being all about bot. And now it just has Breathe in such a great position. Again, I'd love to see this leverage to make sure that IG don't just end up getting themselves 5 or 6 scrubs, which really feels like shouldn't be theirs.
Tianzhen's looking for it. He will scoop his way across. Actually, really by himself over here. So all 6 scrubs will go over to IG in the end. That's definitely something we've seen turn the tide of games as time goes on as well. A couple item completions are important, though. We got finally the Kraken Slayer complete for On. So going for the attack speed build. LWX going to dodge out of both abilities here, using those smooth moves. Meanwhile, Storm Surge is complete for Tangyuan.
Yeah, gets the Storm Surge, which, you know, now is nerfed on this patch slightly. The AP that it gives and some of the damage coming from the passive being taken down. Just trying to bring it more in line with how obnoxious that item was before.
I'm sure a lot of mid laners are molding now. We did actually see that IG didn't take all 6 scrubs. They only got the 5, so they could be back in position down here to contest over RNG's second dragon.
And I think great call by them, just trying to make RNG's life harder. Keeping my eyes on Tianzhen with that Magnet Storm. The way that IG are playing this choke, it'd be disastrous.
He's really careful. He's by himself over here, and he's just getting bursted out. LWX easily cleans that one up, and that's a dragon for RNG.
Yeah, that was a bit of a weird one, right? They're playing so heavily to control this Stride Brush. You'd have a great angle to bring Tianzhen over, but then blocking him back by himself, giving RNG this free Drake. So now RNG are going to have a pretty consistent win con to play for, to just getting themselves up to Seoul. Sitting on 2 now, it's going to be pretty easy to move forward. Tangyuan hasn't had to have a big impact, but I mean, we're going to get a replay here. Oh,
well, he tried to go over the fat spot.
Yeah.
He tried to go over like the giant triangle that they've made down there. It just, that doesn't work.
It's just more funny to just imagine what's going on in the IG comms after that happens and be like, hey guys, wait, I'll walk around. And then all of them thinking it'll be totally fine. And then like just the silence that must be there when he's dead.
The question is though, really, did he say something or did he leave it until somebody noticed? That's the real question.
God, the damage up to this top lane turret, though, by Breathe.
Bro, it's Udyr. What are you going to do? Fear the deer. We've all heard it. It's a memo going around. If you didn't hear it, I don't know. You got to figure out your Sunday paper situation.
Look, I keep saying it. The win con against Udyr in this matchup is you just need to brain control him to stay a little bit longer around your turret and then land your Q3 so he takes a bunch of turret aggro and then he'll die. It's happened many times. It's happened many times.
But this is Breathe, my friend. And I'm sure it's happened to Breathe, but this is Breathe in this series.
That's true. And I mean, like you said, right now, huge with that Iceborne Gauntlet.
Rift Herald is up here, though, and Tianzhen has literally just been on trigger with this top side of the map objective start.
He's been really good at IG as a whole been pretty good at trying to make sure that RNG don't get anything for free. Have made some mistakes along the way, which is still let that happen. But now with the vision control coming down, LWX is going to keep dishing out damage from a safe range. We got to keep our eyes on Wink, though. He has Enchanted Crystal Arrow. If LWX or Ming or anyone oversteps, they could just be gone.
Problem is, Tianzhen doesn't necessarily have the item situation. Breathe is going to be the one tanking that arrow. He's under the Rift Herald, though, so it's very hard to get the damage to stick onto him. Tangyuan has now also found another entrance here. Rift Herald getting oh so low. It pops his back, but it's Wei who actually gets it in the end. Meanwhile, Odd picks off Ming. The eye has been secured, and RNG make it out, losing one.
Yeah, IG managing to at least get something for their troubles, even having first move onto mid, which is going to be quite nice, making sure that this wave gets in and going to be able to get a respectable amount of damage done. Hell, with the 5 grubs, they're still going to get some of these mites to come and help them out, and RNG can't answer.
There's just so many mites, and that's what we've seen, actually, so many times in the LPL. Teams just willing to give over all the grubs, and then it comes back to bite them every single time. It's been so interesting to see the map priority of early LPL teams so far, and right now IG loving the blue side, as we've seen that be very dominant and controlling all those grubs as well.
Yeah, I feel like a lot of times it's more telling of the team who decides not to even like try and go up towards scrubs than it is the one who just goes straight for it, right? Like RNG making it very clearly that they prioritized being to Drake faster, since the timer was just a little bit behind the grub spawn, than they would maybe actually using that Udyr prio to try and fight that and make sure the 5 doesn't come through.
And now we get back onto the map. We finally do have that item parity for Tianzhen as well. That Frozen Heart completed first item there for the Rel. Next big engage going to be important. Speaking of, the all-out going to be used here onto him if he can see him, but he can't. And the Shroud comes through. The all-out still there, though. Tangyuan using his smooth moves yet again.
Yeah, he's going to escape, but he's a Kali again. He has 100 ways to make an escape. I think a lot there invested by IG with the
still
two
had
ultimates
flash.
in the Ghost. Yeah, he would have been completely fine. I mean, Akali, egregious champion. Love watching her, but the amount of ways she has to survive, insane.
I just love seeing it into his ear. Like, I don't know how many times we've seen just the better hands player have a good time with the Akali against the Azir. And I'm not saying Cryin doesn't have hands, but it's so impressive to see the way that you can really mismatch against this champion and have effects no matter what, even though Azir has been so dominant in the meta. And I like that Tangyuan is doing that. One of our, not new players, but newer players.
Yeah. You know, I gotta say, bring me back to, like, I think it was 2020 summer, where it was, like, a Kali, Sylas, Irelia meta. Like,
yeah,
just all the champions who want to be jumping in. Yeah, exactly, right? Yes. Even being able to bring out things like Kiana and stuff like that. Jesus.
Good times. I still remember one of my favorite memories, and something I'll probably never get to do again, is the year I came into LPL. Aki
So you gotta
played
wait.
Zed. Speaking of, though, Ming does get pushed out. Wei with a big engage. The Change of Corruption going to connect onto multiple members now as well. Wei is out of there too, and Cryin has already bit the dust. Breathe is moving forward. He's got that Phoenix forward. Tangyuan's looking for a way in. They've got so much damage on the YSKM, but Ming goes in. Tangyuan's on the back line now as well. On, connected on, and perfect executed. The Storm Surge even comes in on top. The lightning raining on the side of RNG. And they've got a Rift Herald as well to charge into the turret, but they're looking at their third dragon of the game.
They're going to be getting so much on the map from this mid lane turret, like you said, already making their way to dragon. They can pivot someone down to bot to even, potentially catch that wave right now if they want, and really just take commanding charge. Now getting their way close to about a 2k gold lead. We're going to get to see here, it all starts off with the flank coming out from Breathe. Ming with a great engage. Sure, you push him back, but RNG have so many ways of following up. We see that with the Cataclysm, we see that with the Ghost. And then things just get so messy, but Breathe is so huge because that's where RNG funneled in their advantage topside. So IG just really not able to commit enough damage to take him down at this point. But it's Tangyuan here who is so key, goes in with the Shuriken flip, finds access to both marksmen on the back half of the fight, and just gorgeous ulti to be able to finish off the Kaisa.
I'm not gonna lie, the biggest sus thing I saw in there was that YSKM got to re-engage onto both Ming and Breathe.
Yeah.
And if there's any targets you don't want to be going after, it's those two right there. And I think it turned on them after that immediately. I do think there's a lot of that fight back still available for IG, and they just need to pick a better fight. We also got the Terminus just completed as second item there for On, so a little bit more sustained power in the fight.
And again, like as we're kind of honing back in over the spot side, On gonna try and come down to kill Breathe. No Ghost.
I think they might actually be able to do this. I mean, he's got so much health damage as that Kraken Slayer comes working. Oh, but he misses the Void Seeker there. He's going to need to kind of get in here. Gets one more auto attack. On gets his 5th kill of the game.
I mean, still hard though, right? Frozen Heart, Iceborne Gauntlet, plated steel
Yeah.
caps. Like we got to see why it was so hard for IG to really find any meaningful damage in that last fight.
And we actually have the Baron now spawning on rotation in about 10 seconds. The thing is, though, there's not exactly the damage profile to take it super quickly. Obviously not the attack speed Varus here. It's the lethality Varus. But I think being able to have vision around there is super important because you're going to be looking for the counterplay once the next dragon comes up for RNG.
Oh, 100% right. Yeah. And now it's going to be interesting to see what kind of trap RNG set. Because when you have things, especially like Akali and Jarvan in my mind, that have such easy access to backline, they don't necessarily need to like try and bait, haha, we're going to do a Baron. It's like, no, like you're pretty low low DPS when you have Poke Forest and Akali. Wait.
Oh, God. A Wink. Wade just decides he is done for, and Ming just says, hey, I'll help you, buddy. 450 smackaroos right to Wade.
Just, it's just so simple. Wade just literally runs right into him, spots him on vision, and Wink not expecting it whatsoever. But again, not really having a comp that can even threaten any kind of like fast turn on this Baron. Do have a lot of good ways to trap you if they can get set up on an objective first, though. Like we said, all the like angles Tangyuan can be coming from, or especially Jarvan.
And I think especially for Wink, it's having a double marksman, right? Now, obviously, Wink very, very good with the marksman, but in those situations where you're fighting for warding, you're expected to be a little bit tankier, right? You're feeling like, oh, I can go up there and get the ward down and be okay. No, you're an ADC, my friend, and you will just die to Wei if he sees you. Especially with the Sundered Skies start. So we actually see IG putting a little bit of pressure up here towards the top side of the map. Make sure they can get the Scuttle Crab as well.
I gotta say though, Mazel, you're overlooking one key thing. Wink has an Edge of Night. Of course, that's gonna solve all his problems to let him walk forward and find his vision.
It helps. It helps for sure. I mean, I'll give him that. Also, you know, if he just had the Umbral Glaive, that would help a lot as well for control. Breathe is taking another outer tower and just doing Udyr things at this point. And that brings me back to the conversation we've kind of tried to repeat is what kind of impact are these guys going to have in the team fights? Right now, we've seen that Breathe has the stronger impact here. Yeah,
and I guess having to run into a team that really invests a bit in topside is something that IG haven't come up against yet in the split so far, right? So this at least proving to be quite detrimental to them, and RNG just playing out such like a slow, controlled style, not over forcing for anything, really doing a nice job of the push and pull with Breathe on that Udyr, kind of syncing up with the push of the rest of his laners elsewhere. So a lot going to be on IG to find some backline access here, especially looking at Tianzhen, and then on to follow up on the Kaisa.
Yeah. LWX has the third item now as well. He's getting very close to his Miramana upgrade. So we'll see that actually big third item spike be there soon. A lot of shields, though, being popped on the side of IG. Chains of Corruption going to go in, but the flash immediately answered. Enchanted Crusader goes wide, straight through the uprights, and now Breathe is just running at people. Got to be a little bit more careful with your health bar there. And now YSKM has a good angle to front line.
I got to say for IG, good on them, right? They lost a flash, but gained a flash and heal in response, just by the threat that Wink's putting up. And look at the side lanes in favor of IG, pushing into RNG's bot lane turret.
Oh, this is a big flank from Tangyuan. Solar Flare goes wide. Ming is going to get that intro on, getting low. The Killer Instinct. Oh, he's still going to get perfectly executed there. And Tangyuan still got the secondary activation. He does need to go back in as the rest of RNG get a little bit low, end up not using that second activation, so it'll end up being a 2-for-1 in favor of RNG.
They're still going to be able to go for this Dragon. Tangyuan and even Breathe, if he wanted to, would have TP. So we do see Tangyuan going for the recall to TP back in just to make sure that Wink and Tianzhen can't be annoyances to stop this one. So it is just going to be Soul going over to RNG.
So both objectives so far, the Grubs first go IG's way, all 4 Dragons go the way of RNG. And it looks like we're in for a long haul fight for our game number 1 here, Lyric.
And we're learning a lot. We're learning that silly, fun intro, clearly not the way to go for game 1 success. But we're going to see here.
Hey, it's not decided yet, all right?
No, you're right. Ming going, this fight was so crazy. You have things happening on both sides of the fight. This definitely the more impactful one. Tangyuan, again, with the huge flank being the difference maker, constantly taking on out of these fights. The last few fights IG had, they have not had an AD carry to either deal consistent damage to or even really get on the back line and burst out a key member.
And what's crazy is that was through the Killer Instinct, the Flash, and the Cleanse. It was like a panic moment for On. He's like, I don't know what to do! And all of a sudden, Tangyuan's still on you, able to get through. So I think those are the crucial things you have to look out is RNG have a lot of really big positioning moments that they can have in these fights.
Again, there's just so like many ways for Akali Jarvan to cover distance. Breathe as well if he is the ghost up, and we're seeing that this game really just evolve into these fights splitting off into different angles. And IG so far haven't really been able to find the picks they'd want, right? When you have Ashe, when you have Kai'Sa, these are 2 champions that hope to isolate a target, take them out with Enchantress Era or the Killer Instinct.
Oh, they're using the Hex Gates. Have you watched Arcane? Because RNG have. Wink in some trouble again. Oh my god, that piercing arrow pierced through the screen into my face, it felt like. As it is 1 kill going over. A lot of pings toward this Baron, but RNG know the better of it. They're going to pull off.
Still, though, now RNG don't feel scared. They feel fine to bait this. Now 3 items on the Udyr. Kanik Rooker picked up during his last back. We're going to see if they can contest. You still have the Emperor's Divide.
Ming's not been seen yet. They didn't see him with that ward shot. LWX going to be tanking a lot. Tangyuan has another flank. Ming needs to get in there. LWX is just gone. A big Emperor's Divide to separate back the fight, but now RNG are just running at IG, and YSKM has no answer here. He's getting locked down. Tangyuan, he's looking for the back line now too. On actually dodging out of the 5-point strike, but Breathe is right there to smack him down, and Ming gets the kill in the end. They are burning away from the presence of RNG here, and another Zenith Blade connects as Ming makes sure to go down for the team. Tangyuan picks off the straggler, and RNG end up in a wonky 1 fight. 4 members of IG bite the dust.
IG might have delayed the Baron, but they helped RNG expand their lead, and RNG aren't scared. They're going to pivot right back to the Baron once again. So now 5k gold lead. Baron about to be in tow. Can Wink luck into a volley or enchanted crystal arrow
no
steal?
Way.
It would be hilarious. I like hilarious things.
I do as well. Just as me as the next guy, Lyric, but I think that's a little bit of a tall task to ask for, but a tall task that was asked. No, don't get baited. A tall task that was asked was what is this RNG team? What are we going to see for them? And I think what we've seen is Tangyuan is the real deal. I feel like in another year, we've seen this guy grow into form. In this first game on this Akali, he has been an absolute monster.
Yeah, this fight just kind of split up into 2 ways. IG running forward, not expecting the rest of RNG to be coming from the flank. So many members, Ming, Tangyuan coming up behind them, but you highlighted it, Tangyuan again. He's just having a great game on the Akali, a champion that you really wouldn't have thought him for when he first came onto the RNG roster, but beautiful 5-point strike there once again, just really having honed in on IG's carries. And then Wink tries to get involved in the fray here to keep them alive, but you're a support Ashe, you don't have the damage to be able to take them down. And honestly, that really just seems like the big name of it for me in general with IG, right? We haven't seen them able to even put a dent in RNG's front lines. Finally going to try and isolate someone out.
Run away, Breathe, run! But continuing on the conversation from Tangyuan, it was so curious to me when he first came in because it was back and forth, right? He was actually pulled back out when Angel came through. But there's been the likes of Angel, Cryin, Xiaohu on this roster, and he has had to come in and fill the shoes of them. And last year, there were still a lot of questions remaining, but we saw some serious confidence built as the season went on, and it feels like he's hit his stride at least a lot of the time in the early parts of the season.
I definitely feel like Tangyuan has made his way from being what I think a lot of people would have considered like an underwhelming, bit unreliable. Oh, we have a team fight.
They're right under tower. They don't even care. Tianzhen just gonna take. Oh, LWX can't get the last one. Tangyuan. Hey, there's that man. We were just talking about him. Does end up getting on over to the other side. He wanted that shutdown so badly. He'll get that 1,000 gold, but he'll also die.
Honestly, though, right? You take that. You take that 1,000 gold if you're able to get it in this instance. They're already sieging down your base. You at least push them off for the time being. But now we're at a point where Elder is on the rift. You're still contending with the potential baroned up minions that they've been using to get prio. Like, it's going to be a rough one with your 80 carried down once again. Mazel, I said this guy wasn't going to be getting subbed out because IG keep winning, but he is getting focused down this game.
You were so confident. You were so confident when I asked you. It's like, oh, you don't think we'll see xiaoyueji? He's like, nah, he's winning. Well, what happens?
I said unless they lose.
Yeah, well, hey, Breathe gonna go with a deep flank here. IG weren't really ready for it. Do end up pulling Cryin over here. I don't know if that's where you want to step towards Cryin, as the Elder Dragon already going down. Tianzhen will be body blocked by Ming on the way there, and it is gone, my friends, as now the rest of IG need to be very careful because Breathe is just running, and Tangyuan has the wings of a dragon on his back as he goes forward. They're gonna connect, and the scream of the Elder Dragon fills the rift as RNG take the bodies of IG.
It was a great early game from IG, but it wasn't enough. Now with this Elder, you can see RNG are just still leading IG. They have minions, and they're gonna look for the win.
IG backs against the wall here. RNG looking to put a step above in their record here as they go into Chinese New Year. It's RNG looking like they're firing on all cylinders. Tangyuan 7-1 on the Akali. We'll see one more engage from IG. They still have the Elder Dragon. Ming getting a little bit low as they do end up getting the execution. Ming dies to good old Tianzhen, but the Nexus is bare, and RNG know exactly where to hit it. And that's 1-0 in this best of 3 for RNG.
Yeah, RNG, I mean, it was weird, right? It was a weird early game. A lot of things going back and forth, especially between the bot lanes. Ash picking up kills for IG. We actually did have LWX able to pick up the kills for the side of RNG side, but it really felt like the difference maker was the shenanigans happening elsewhere, right? The fact that we were seeing Tangyuan have fine times, and especially Breathe up in that top side being a little bit annoying for IG to deal with.
There was a lot of shenanigans, and it was started by Breathe. He's the peak shenaniganery man. Anyways, we're gonna take a little break. We're gonna step away.